So, Peter, what's happening? Now, are you going to go ahead and have those TPS reports for us this afternoon?
No.
Yeah. So I guess we should probably go ahead and have a little talk.
Not right now, Lumberg. I'm kind of busy. In fact, look, I'm gonna have to ask you to go ahead and just come back another time. I got a meeting with the Bobs in a couple of minutes.
I wasn't aware of a meeting with them.
Yeah, they called me at home.
That sounds good, Peter. And we'll go ahead and get this all fixed up for you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is a case of the Mondays, and I'm going to be talking about emotional intelligence. I want to start off thanking LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter for attending and participating. So I think that the clip with from Office Space was a great example of emotional intelligence, because neither of the two guys really lost their temper or lost control of themselves, but they were communicating. And I think that this is a big topic that people have been focusing on for a while. I know I've had a few different conversations around it in just the work environment in the past, 5 years. So I do think it's kind of something that's important in business, especially right now with just so many things going on in everyday life, that it's still kind of good to check in with yourself and just kind of take an inventory of where you're at and how you feel and who you might want to talk to if you need, assistance with things, or if you're just kind of having a really good day and there's kind of that flip side of emotional intelligence. If you are really happy and you're going into an environment that's chaotic or a little bit less understanding or empathetic, then that can set off a whole nother perspective of emotional intelligence. So I'm going to take about 10 minutes today, because I feel like this topic's pretty well known, and there's so much information about it out there and available. So I don't want to dive too deep into it and kind of get boring. But there's 5 key intelligences: social skills, decision-making, empathy, self-regulation, and self-awareness. And I think social skills is I think that's a pretty big one, because of just, I know, coming from like a different generation of compared to what is coming in, what's in the young adult world today. Social has totally changed. In fact, I'm finding that, like, for myself, I enjoy things that are less like, I just enjoy more alone time and doing things myself than I used to. And that can just be kind of due to like age or whatever. But I also enjoy socializing. It's just, I noticed that for me specifically, it's less important than in the past. But it's always great to have your people and to connect and to kind of be flexible and accepting. So I think the social skills are important. I think it's important to know a lot of how your social goes, whether you're, high energy and you feed off of other people and you can kind of be the life of the room, or if your social is just to kind of be a part of something and hang in the background. Decision making, I think it's really important to be objective and make your decisions based off of a whole picture rather than in the moment and based off of just your feelings. I know that that can be a challenge, especially if you're getting, different kinds of information to not have like immediate emotions and feelings about, about it. I wanted to read something here real quick, but I kind of lost it on that particular piece of it. But like, I know some, especially with like we'll just use an example. If you have a health situation, you get a reporting through like, let's say you get some results and you read them and you kind of, go to Google and you kind of piece information together. That can create like an anxiety and cause you to kind of like make decisions based off of, an amped up emotion. And then later you kind of get more specific information from the experts and, which would be doctors or healthcare providers or whatever. And it may not seem as big a deal. So I think definitely being able to understand your emotions and decision-making is important, especially in business. We kind of are having a culture change where, it's really important to be kind of thick-skinned and tough, especially if you're working in like business, sales, and industries that are a little more harsh, like and tough, like manufacturing and logistics. I'm sure there's even the service industry. You have to be really tough because you're dealing with lots of different scenarios. And of course, self-regulation, along with, understanding how you feel and your emotions and why you're feeling them and making decisions based off of what's logical. I think self-regulation is kind of just balanced based off of that, where, you just by being able to understand your emotions and make decisions, that's obviously regulating yourself. Like, I think in general, people want to be calm and happy. So, being able to kind of pick your battles. I think back in my day, we just called it pick your battles. We didn't really go into a lot of this like science and specifics about, people's character and how they were. I mean, I think when I was growing up, actually, we kind of just created groups and everyone was allowed to kind of have their isms and schisms. And it kind of would create, like, I just remember in, like groups were often built and you'd have like a little bit of everything. Everybody had different outlooks, but you just kind of would meet up and those were your friends in your group and and if it was like a more, let's say, a work related, everybody just kind of had their job to do. And so they just did it and would say like, oh, well, that's just so-and-so. And I understand that there are extreme situations that a lot of, probably this topic probably expanded more because of just more extreme situations. But anyway, regulating yourself is just deciding whether you're into getting, whether you're into it and you are gonna cause an argument or like you're gonna get fearful or not be able to handle something. It's kind of like, to some extent, you have like a decision you can make and regulate yourself. But I do think there's situations where you have to take into account that everybody's human, and sometimes it just there is a bit of not being able to regulate how you feel. Like fear is definitely, I think you have points where you can regulate it, and then there's points where it would be natural just to have a high level of it. And then self-awareness, just kind of understanding what's going on around you and everybody else and its perspectives, and kind of taking action according to that. And I mean, I think most of us do a good job at that, and then have occasional situations where, you're just distracted and aren't very aware of what's going on around you. And then, I think the important thing is when that does happen, you can kind of like wrangle it back in and reset. So, anyway, this was just a neat topic. I kind of really wanted to touch on it. It's interesting in business because of just how I think the more business is expanded and relationships are going on a global basis, the more important emotional intelligence is. So everyone, thank you, and have a great week. I will see you next Monday.